And we are live, people. Good evening. How are you doing? Welcome to another open chat for Wednesday. Tonight's topic will be the history of Gentoo. Before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that I was busy yesterday, so there will be no Linux report or tech reports this week, but that will be next week. In the meantime, we're going to be discussing Linuxy stuff here, starting with the history of Gentoo. So I hope you all will enjoy that. Also, if you want to, hold on just a minute, please. Okay, people, sorry about that. I had to take care of something real quick. As I was saying, if you want to join the conversation of Linux, feel free to email me at ricky.clay@protonmail.com. Here's the link to my Proton Mail if you want to get a link to join the chat. Okay, let me get my Proton Mail set up. But once again, tonight will be a Linux conversation about the history of Gentoo. There's going to be a lot of false topics involved with this, a lot of false software. Basically, a whole bunch of things that are going to be related to Gentoo. So, hope you'll enjoy this. Let me get my Proton Mail set up. Okay, where's that Proton Mail at? There it is. Oh, hey, Timo. How you doing, bro? Long time no see. How are you and the family doing? Okay. Okay, let me just get some things taken care of here. All right. Okay, let me just get some Gentoo stuff set up here. Okay, get that set up. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay, let's just look up Gentoo's Wikipedia data this way, just so I can have it. There it is. Okay, I think that'll be enough data. There we go. Oh, there you are.
Well, I'm very excited to learn the history of Gentoo because Ben got me into it. He did.
Uh-huh.
I first discovered it back in the Google Plus days, and I installed it, got help on how to put it together. Then I accidentally erased a desktop environment by running a few emerge commands the wrong order.
Yeah.
I unemerged the whole desktop environment and got left with the login prompt, command line only.
Hey guys.
Hi, I'm eating cheese sticks, so don't mind me.
All right, William. How you doing?
Fine, I'm using the rolling version of Debian having to fix a problem where
Oh
updating
boy.
got rid of Steam altogether and
And I
dependencies with it.
noticed in the repos they don't have. Fishman was kind of frustrated by this. They got rid of the dependencies for Discord.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Tell
I
me
don't
I
know
did
why
not
that
just
happened.
hear that.
You did, Ricky.
So you're
Ethically fish.
telling me that Gentoo got rid of
No, 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 no,
Discord?
no. Not Gentoo, but Debian.
Debian got. Why would they get rid of Discord?
Yeah, yeah. They didn't get rid of Discord. They got rid of the dependencies needed for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just pretty much finishing setting up here, and then we will get the conversation started.
Debian got rid of certain things for Steam to function correctly, so upgrading during on the SID branch breaks it.
Yep, yep. I will repeat one more time. If anybody wants to get in on our Linuxy techie conversation, send me an email for a link at ricky.clay@protonmail.com. You'll find my email you'll find pretty much my email at the top of the chat here.
So what did you say a minute ago about the Debian thing, Ricky?
I said I can't believe that Debian got rid of Discord. That's a little shocking. That is a little shocking.
That doesn't surprise me. Aww.
Okay, I think I'll give a 5-minute warning here, and then we will start the conversation. 5 minutes, and then we will discuss the history of Gentoo.
I got the Sims 3 to work in Linux using Steam Play.
Yeah.
The launcher can stay open, but it unfortunately, the custom content will crash the launcher when you attempt to install it with it. Or you get an error saying, the custom content's not appropriate for your launcher. There's some kind of weird error.
Mm-hmm. You there, Ben?
He had a connection issue.
And there he goes. Give him a minute. He'll be back. He usually does come back.
Mozzarella cheese, yummy. Better than eating sugary candy.
All right,
What?
I had to go on my phone to stop the constant back and forth.
Okay, that's so. Then no wonder your camera turned off.
Yeah.
Oh. I wish I had an M1 based machine that's not Mac that could run x86 just fine. That would be fun.
Yeah, I hear you.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was such thing as an M1 Windows machine?
Yes, but it would have to have a way to run x86 64 on it, though.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a dual processor.
By the way, Chris Titus Tech updated his Windows 10 debloat app to where it can work on Windows 11 now.
Oh, so it works on Windows 11 now, huh?
Yeah, Chris Titus Tech updated the app. Okay, in about 1 minute, we'll start the conversation.
Sounds good. And Naomi.
And if you want, Ben, we can also put the katana thing in the conversation too.
That might be a good idea, because I did find that it does work on Arch. I have not tested it on Gentoo, but I will probably do that sometime soon. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
The light banding pattern of your camera bin makes the lights look a little weird.
Sorry, I'm on my phone and it's hard to look at my phone and my laptop at the same time.
About the blue phone I got, there's one problem.
What?
T-Mobile will not accept that type of phone because it's 3G and they've upgraded their network, so old phones that are 3G, 4G, or 3G are in the dust. Phones that are 4G will still work, but certain phones that are unlocked, like the one from Blue I bought recently on Amazon, does not work.
That's good, Timo. Linux for the win. Windows is sacrilege. Oh my goodness. Wow, Timo, that's really good.
So this phone right here is a Wi-Fi phone. Can't be used on any singular network.
So it can't be used on Mint Mobile then?
Nope, because a lot of the carriers that they sublease their network to the MVNO have upgraded their network so heavily that it knocks out the old phones that are GSM based. It knocks them out.
Yeah.
So your phone that's 3G GSM is now a phone that is on Wi-Fi unless if it's an Android or an iPhone. If it's a basic candy bar phone, it's a wreck. It's not going to have much use. Oops.
Oh, I see.
So that would be the end of that phone. If you have a phone that is a GSM phone that can't connect to any newer technology, only use the old ones, which most carriers are starting to get rid of the old things. So you're brick if that happens.
What would happen if we had a phone, William, that could not only work on any network, but was fully open sourced software and open sourced hardware?
Yeah, that would create a bit of a complaint because you have to have a phone if you don't have a home phone to make calls and get help with 911 since payphones don't exist anymore.
Mhm. Okay, we have reached the 5-minute mark. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to now discuss Gentoo.
Yep.
Okay, let me just share my entire screen. There we go. Okay, before we get into the Wikipedia information, I just want to show everybody who hasn't seen this yet. This is the Gentoo website. This is where people will download Gentoo, get Gentoo news, all that. Articles here. Oh, whoop. There we go. You also got the developer blogs right here. Security, the security stuff here, new packages, documentation. Now, for those people who pretty much are seeing Gentoo for the first time, if you ever want to download it, I will show you a brief way to do it real quickly. Basically, you go right here to the Get Gentoo button. And right here, basically, you're going to want to download one of these two stage archives and the minimal installation CD right here. You can either choose to have a System D system, which is basically, I'm very comfortable with System D. I've used a System D Gentoo system briefly on a virtual machine. It was okay. OpenRC is the old original way that Gentoo has been used for most of its life, but System D is fairly new and it's pretty much getting better and better with each release. You also have archives for ARM64 devices. That means your Raspberry Pis. And you also have right here all of these other architectures you can choose from, including RISC-V and Spark. Which all of these have are different types of tarballs as well, including there is a no multi-lib System D and OpenRC tarball too. So basically, that's what you download, and then all you have to do is follow the Gentoo wiki. And should I show them Gentoo wiki as well, Ben?
I would recommend it because here's the bottom line. If you're going to install Gentoo, you got to have up that handbook. You got to have up the wiki for those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. So right here is all the Gentoo wikis you can choose from. You got the main one that most people will use is the AMD 64 because that covers 64-bit AMD and Intel processors. Both are there. You also got HPPA, this architecture, MIPS, PowerPC, PowerPC 64, Spark, and 32-bit is right here.
But who still uses the PowerPC to this day for home use?
You'd be surprised, William. There's still a pretty good following for PowerPC architectures and hardware.
You can't get Steam on it.
No, but the thing is, even though you can't get Steam working on PowerPC hardware, there is, a handful of other games like emulators and DOSBox and all that can run on PowerPC. So there are options. But no, basically, the AMD 64 handbook is pretty much what you'll be mainly needing. These are all the steps right here from top to bottom. I'm not going to go inside each step because I don't want to waste time here. But if you want to look into each one of these steps, feel free to do that on your own time. There's some more documentation here. And here's some stuff about portage. And here's some stuff about the Gentoo network configuration. So this is pretty much a very brief look on the Gentoo website. It's very simple to the point. Now let's go over the Gentoo Linux wiki. So the developers, the Gentoo Foundation, the Gentoo was very first released July 26, 2000, which is 21 years ago. It is free and open source software, always has been, always will be. It's a rolling release distro. It's got the portage package manager. It's available in all these architectures you see here. It's got a monolithic kernel, which is really good. It's also got a few desktop environments to choose from, like XFCE, LXQT, KDE, GNOME, Fluxbox, iFree, and Sway. If you guys don't know what Sway is a fork of the iFree window manager, except Sway is a little better in most cases. Right here is where the license for Gentoo is as well. It's a free software license. But here's some more information about it itself. Gentoo Linux is a Linux distribution built using the portage package management system. Unlike a binary software distribution, the source code is compiled locally according to the user's preferences and is often optimized for the specific type of computer. Pre-compiled binaries are available for some larger packages for those with no available source code. Gentoo Linux was named after the fast-swimming Gentoo penguin. The name was chosen to reflect the potential speed improvements of machine-specific optimization, which is a major feature of Gentoo. Gentoo package management is designed to be molecular, portable, easy to maintain, and flexible. Gentoo describes itself as a meta distribution because of its adaptability, and that the majority of users have configurations and sets of installed programs which are required to the system and applications they use. And here's a bit of history of Gentoo itself. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just a brief summary of it. Gentoo Linux was initially created by Daniel Robbins as the Enoch Linux distribution. The goal was to create a distribution without pre-compiled binaries that was tuned to the hardware and only included required programs. At least one version of Enoch was distributed, version 0.75, in December 1999. Daniel Robbins and the other contributors experimented with a fork of GCC known as eGCS, developed by Cygen Solutions. At this point, Enoch was renamed Gentoo Linux. The Gentoo species is the fastest swimming penguin. The modifications to eGCS eventually became part of the official GCC version 2.95, and other Linux distributions experience similar speed increases. Other problems with a bug on its own system, Robbins halted Gentoo development and switched to FreeBSD for several months, later saying, "I decided to add several FreeBSD features to make our auto-build system, now called Portage, a true next-gen port system." Gentoo Linux 1.0 was released on March 31st, 2002. In 2004, Robbins set up the non-profit Gentoo Foundation, transferred all copyrights and trademarks to it, and stepped down as chief architect of the project. The current board of trustees, composed of 5 members who were announced following an election on March 2nd, 2008. There are also a 7-member Gentoo Council that oversees the technical issues and policies of Gentoo. The Gentoo Council members are elected annually for a period of 1 year by the active Gentoo developers. When a member of the council retires, the successor is voted into place by the existing council members. And if you want to read the rest of this right here, feel free to do so. And basically, there's more things right here like features, stuff about portage, portability, installation information, information about the stages, the Gentoo release platform, the different versions of Gentoo and the release dates, so on and so on and so forth. But no, that is pretty much the history of Gentoo. So, do you both want to basically put your 2 cents in on this?
It's a
Well,
very interesting distro for those who want to build software from source, but it's
Mhm.
not for everyone.
No, it's not for everybody, but it's for a specific breed of basically Linux user. It's for the people that want to tinker and tweak their machines.
It's meant. I kind of figured it's for niche hardware. It's like for unusually niche hardware that is not common in a home user's place.
I
Yeah.
would agree.
Like basically I can see a number of uses for Gentoo specifically. Like I could see it being used for servers, remote servers, remote terminals, SSH servers to where you can SSH into different machines. I can also see and also another good thing about Gentoo, in my opinion, is it is a very good stepping stone to make other Linux distros. Like 2 very popular Gentoo-based distros that are really good is Red Core Linux and Calculate.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I mean, if you're looking to get into Gentoo, basically, I would say if you want to do it, I would start with Red Core or Calculate,
Mm-hmm.
and then dive into vanilla Gentoo after a while.
Exactly. And basically for those that pretty much want to see a Gentoo installation firsthand, there's at least a few live streams of that I did along with Ben when I installed Gentoo a long time ago. You can find those on my channel.
Yeah, that will pretty much cover everything you should need to know about Gentoo.
Exactly. A few other use case scenarios also for Gentoo is Gentoo can pretty much teach you a lot of the under the hood stuff about Linux that
Mm,
that Arch Linux cannot get to in some particular areas. Because yes, Arch Linux is basically where everybody goes to these days because it allows Arch pretty much in its own way allows you to learn Linux from the ground up. But Gentoo does this differently. It allows you to pretty much build the thing from the ground up, almost LFS like.
Yes, just with a package manager.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing, guys. If you build LFS, which I would not recommend until you've really mastered Gentoo, and LFS will basically tell you, and this is true out of the gate,
Mm-hmm.
there is no, and I mean no, package manager with LFS unless you install one or build one yourself, which honestly is kind of a drag. And it's not recommended to do that whatsoever. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna want to build Gentoo, I mean, if you're gonna want to build LFS with a package manager, just do Gentoo. That's just the honest reality.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of environments, people, there was a point in time where Gentoo did have KDE4, but KDE4 was deprecated years ago. But thanks to some information that Ben told me, there's a little bit of news about that, and I'm going to have Ben explain it in full detail.
Well, KDE4 for the longest time has been deprecated. Everybody in their Linux knows that. And the only yeah, honestly
Well,
there has been a fork of it, however, recently called Katana. And I have tested this on Debian, LFS, and Arch. And the most stable version of it has been on Arch for me. Now, that's not to say it couldn't work on Debian or LFS or maybe even Gentoo, which I haven't tested it yet in Gentoo, but I'm planning to do that very soon. Now, Katana has been very good, at least in my testing.
Mm-hmm. And once again, for those who don't know, Katana is basically a fork of KDE4. It's got
Mm,
pretty much the same binaries as KDE4, but it
mhm.
is in very, very alpha stage.
Yes, it does work, but if you're going to install it, I would recommend to do it on not your main production machine right now, because as Ricky said, it is a very early desktop and there's not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
support for it yet. And while
Mm-hmm.
it is KDE4, it still doesn't have all the widgets that you used to have, like Lancelot's not there. So you cannot change the menu except for two styles, which is the classic menu style and the oh god, what was that other one? The kicker menu style.
Yeah, kicker
So
menu.
yeah, which honestly I'm not a big fan of, but that's all they've got right now that the developer guy
Mm-hmm.
has made.
But
So
at the same time, Ben, kicker has been around, forever.
yes, and it's a very nice, very customizable menu. However, Lancelot's a more traditional style menu, which I prefer.
Mm.
However, um, it's not that bad. It's just takes a bit of getting used to. Also, because here's the thing about Kicker, it looks more like Windows 10 in a sense, which isn't that
Mm-hmm.
bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, you've got to be a little bit cautious about that. But regardless, I mean, Kicker, so, I mean, KDE4 is still somewhat available inside of Gentoo in a repository called KDE Sunset, which honestly is not seeing that much development these days.
Which the thing
So
about KDE Sunset is Sunset hasn't been up.
it's not been updated since maybe. Oops. Yeah, Sunset has. Sorry, I was saying Sunset has not been updated since April of this year, and
Mm.
that is very concerning to me. So I would say if you're going to use KDE4, just use Katana. So, and I will be testing that on Gentoo very soon. So, yeah. But like I said earlier, if you're going to install Gentoo, I would honestly recommend doing it on either a VM your first try, or install it on a different machine that's not your daily driver until you're
Mm-hmm.
really committed to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, the reality is Gentoo is a lot of uptime. It's a lot of commitment, and it's just something that if you really want to learn, it's not really good as a daily driver, to be perfectly honest, without really knowing, you know, what
Mm-hmm.
you're getting into.
Yeah, but I will say though, Ben, if anybody wants a KDE like experience, I mean, try the Trinity desktop. That's still going very strong.
Yes, Trinity is, I want to say it's more maintained and up to date, we'll say, than
Mm-hmm.
Katana, because, you know, again, Katana is not um it's not really ready to be used as a daily desktop right now. Whereas if you try and install, let's just use Gentoo for example with that one.
But my question is, what about downgrading if something is broken or something doesn't work right?
If you want to,
Um,
oh,
when it comes to upgrading and downgrading, that's a part of Gentoo I do not even know about.
me either, because as much of a Gentoo savvy guy as I am, I have tried to downgrade a package.
Mm-hmm.
it ended up in the whole system going kapow, and
Now, when it
it's not a
comes
good thing to do.
Now, when it comes to downgrading on Arch, that's just very easy. You just got to get the downgrade package from the AUR, and then just do sudo downgrade your package name, and boom, it'll display all previous versions of that package.
Well, I'm downgrading Debian Unstable on my system to testing by simply changing the sources list until an apt update, and then automatically doing a reverse downgrade due to an issue I've spotted. But don't worry, this is most likely not going to confuse the packaging system because I've done an apt update and then apt install instead of full upgrade. So that's a way to downgrade your system on Debian, yes, as long as you don't run the apt upgrade. You do the reverse install by typing in apt install the name of a package you're looking for, and it will install it. It won't upgrade. But Debian testing and SID are next door to each other.
But I will say one final thing about Gentoo though. If you're a really tech savvy guy and you want to learn Linux, if you're pretty much a tech savvy guy and you want to learn Linux completely under the hood, my final thing that I wanted to say about Gentoo is give Gentoo a shot. This way you can learn a lot about it.
I would highly agree with you, Ricky. I mean, if the person wants to if they want to learn Linux completely from bare bones, yeah, give them Gentoo.
But anywho, before we move on to the next topic, I will be right back.
Okay. And William, I have not ever once gotten whatchamacallit.
A downgrade?
I mean, not just on Gentoo, but on Debian either.
Well, Debian, it is not really advised to be doing it too often, only in some rare circumstances. But it's only done if there's an emergency with it, a very serious issue that prevents upgrading, or it removes a ton of things that you don't want it to do. I do admit that the packaging system is rather dumb and can remove a ton of other things with it without realizing it's going to do so until it should. Future versions of apt should have a way to stop our removal if it's going to rip out other important things and automatically just error and tell you what's happening so you can fix it, or just be more smarter about the choices it's going to do.
Got it. So, yeah, you've really got to be careful with downgrading your system, huh?
I'm willing to take that chance because SID's gone through some bad changes right now that are causing removal of Steam, which I do use Steam, therefore I can't do Steam if SID is going through some changes right now.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that because, I use Steam on all my machines, so I can relate to that being a problem.
Well, I would rather just say that Arch is suitable, but for the rolling versions of SID, changes can kind of cause some stuff that you installed yourself to get ripped out without a moment's notice. Or with the moment's notice, but it's not. It'll tell you what's about to be removed and give you a chance to stop. Or one last chance to stop. If you choose not to stop, there's no going back.
What were you guys talking about?
We were talking about downgrading packages on Debian and how that can lead to a lot of problems. Now, what William was saying was, he was saying that. Can you repeat that, William, for Ricky?
What I'm saying is, if you're running Debian SID, please be careful not to upgrade your system every 72 hours or early, because doing so will automatically destroy your system. There's a very bad change occurring where many different things are being changed out left and right. Ripples of other things that are required for, like Steam, for example, requires some things from the 32-bit to run, and without it, and some of the 32-bit dependencies of Steam get removed, you're going to lose access to your Steam client on Linux, on Debian. If you do upgrade to SID, and if it rips out the 32-bit stuff, your Steam's going to go poof. Then you're without Steam for a long time.
That's a shame.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Therefore, you would have to rip out everything and do a hard downgrade or remove it and then install the appropriate version.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In order to fix the problem.
Okay, let's see what's going on with Distro Watch tonight. Oh, we have some goodies up.
What?
Okay, the Fedora 35 beta is out.
That's good.
And it is shipping with GNOME 41.
Awesome.
Also, Q4OS 4.6 is out, and it has been updated to Debian 11.
Well, we
also got Midnight. We also got Midnight BSD 2.1.0.
Ooh.
For packages though, Ben. Now the packages are a little interesting.
Yes.
We got CMonkey 2.53.9.1.
Mm-hmm.
We also got Linux kernel 5.14. Chromium has its new snapshot. Calibre 5.28 is out. Mesa 21.2.3 is out too.
Cool.
So if anybody needs graphics updates, there's Mesa.
But how do you compress a web page to come to your computer compressed without having to rely on an uncompressed web page?
I am not sure.
Like,
nor am I.
Let me get to the point where if you're using a slow connection or something, if you were to use, for example, a slow connection, like a slow internet connection in some countries, you would technically need a server that takes a web page, pulls it from the internet, sends it to the server, and recompresses it and rewrites and renders it to be fitting on small screens or able to be sent over a slow connection back to you. Kind of like how Opera Mini works, where it takes a web page, sends it to this compression server, the server goes to the internet, compresses it, and then pushes the compressed page back to you over a slow connection.
Dang.
Basically, I'm talking about how this ties in with Gentoo, because since Gentoo has a giant repository, people may have slow connections that may not download things very quickly. It may take more than an hour. Like before, if you have a slow internet connection and installing tons of software, it's going to take too long because the connection's not fast enough to pull all that stuff in at once.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
So the problem is using Linux in third world countries, if they have a slow internet connection, that's just going to ruin it, because if your connection's too slow, you won't be able to get all the software you need. You'll just be sitting in the dark.
That's true.
So that's something to think about if you're going to have to rely on that and have a slow connection that doesn't really work as you would expect.
I will say one thing though. I will say one other thing about Gentoo though, and I'm pretty sure Ben knows exactly where I'm going with this.
Yes.
One of the hardest things and I tried. I think I did it at least one time under Ben's supervision. The
Yeah.
hardest thing you can do on Gentoo is the agonizing install of KDE Plasma.
It is hard. You're right. I have never seen anything more antagonizing than installing KDE.
It takes so long to compile that environment when it comes to OpenBox, for example. It takes at least 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. OpenBox doesn't take that long. XFCE doesn't take that long. I mean, small desktops like that, they don't take forever at all.
No, in my opinion, the smaller the desktop, the better the installation.
Yes. And that's why, I would recommend if you're doing KDE, I would not do everything with that, because that will save you a lot of work.
Yeah, but I will say though, when it comes to KDE Plasma, it has gotten a lot more improved in terms of performance when it comes, to Arch, Debian, and Ubuntu.
Oh yeah, it really has. I mean, it's at least in there you can trim down a lot of the dependencies that it has.
I believe when it comes to Arch, you can get almost a minimal installation with KDE Plasma.
Yes, you do actually.
Let's see. OpenBox has hardly. Well, yeah, that is true, Lamer. OpenBox has hardly anything and the reason why it doesn't have hardly anything is OpenBox by itself is just one package. That's it. The rest of what OpenBox needs has to be done manually when it comes to Gentoo. Well, and also the other parts have to be done manually through other distributions as well. Basically, when I do an OpenBox setup, I always go for OpenBox, OBComp, Tint2, Menu Maker, Nitrogen, and the GNOME backgrounds, plus at least one terminal and one web browser. There you go. You pretty much have a very lightweight desktop right then and there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, when it comes to using window managers, I still bounce back to Windows managers every now and then. Okay, Lamer, have a good time, dude. Take care. But I will say when it comes to window managers and my history of window managers, I will recommend anybody to go to OpenBox first because it's the easiest window manager to get used to. DistroTube is a huge advocate for that window manager. That's who I learned it from. If you need a good window manager to start out your journey into window managers, go with OpenBox. It will not steer you wrong. And then when you're ready, I recommend trying at least iFree or Sway. Pretty much, yes, Sway is a fork of iFree, but they do have similarities, so one or the other won't matter. I will also say for the most part, I don't know if you'll agree, Ben, but after you get done, testing out iFree for a little while, I think the third window manager in this category would be the Awesome Window Manager.
Yeah, if you're not afraid to play around with Lua, I would say go with Awesome. You don't really need to know. Hold on, you don't really need to know Lua to play with it. It's like DistroTube always says. If you want, I would download someone else's config, play around with that, make it your own, and then once you've gotten done with that a couple of times, then I would suggest at least once attempting to make your own window manager setup. Because, at least in i3 and and open box, it's not that hard to do. So once you've got that down, you should be able to play around with Awesome pretty decently.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you want a really beautiful, awesome window manager out of the box, I would recommend people to check out Arco Linux's version of Awesome. It is beautiful.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that if you want to downgrade to Debian testing from SID, you'll have to do an apt purge name of package with asterisk on both ends of the name of the package to remove everything that was upgraded, and then reinstall using apt install name of package.
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that, William.
That is a safer way of going about this. You'll confuse the daylights out of the packaging system if you do it the wrong way around. But giving the nature of apt purge asterisk name of package
now,
with an asterisk.
I will say when it. Now I will say when it comes to my history of Debian, I've tried out Debian 9 and Debian 10, but I also, for a very short amount of time, I got to use Debian 8 as well.
Yeah.
I think out of all three of those, I would say Debian 8 was my personal favorite just because I could play around KDE 4.
I would agree with that, actually.
I would also say one of my other favorite distros that I used from time to time when I first got into Linux was Peppermint. Peppermint's really good.
Yeah. And
I honestly can't wait for the next version to come out, whenever that may be. Who knows? I also got to play around with Ubuntu 16.04 many times, and the one thing that keeps bringing me back to Unity is how simple Unity was and still is. I mean, out of all the desktop environments I got to play with, Unity is so simple, even for a Windows user like myself.
Yes. I mean, Unity, I still recommend it for certain people who just want, something that's, it's not necessarily Mac looking. I mean, it's
but the thing is, it's its own, yes, but you can make it almost like Mac with some theming and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you can make it, you can have the panel at the top and the launchers at the bottom. I mean, that's pretty
I'm surprised
much
making it.
I mean, there you go, dude. There's no two ways about it. That's just how you have to do it.
I'm surprised that making it Mac-like wouldn't cause a copyright violation.
It's open source. It's not going to do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I will also say one other thing that I like about the Unity desktop environment as well is it's not just the bar. It's how integration plays a big role in what Ubuntu used to be. I mean, you could integrate websites into the bar. You could integrate your favorite apps into the bar. You could do so much with that bar.
Exactly.
I mean, it saddened me. It saddened me about 4 years ago when I last tried Unity that I didn't get enough time to play around with it. It's sad, I know, but now that I know that Ubuntu 16.04 is being supported for a couple more years, I have another chance to pretty much play around with it a little longer, since I'm going to, for the first time ever at some point, set up my very first Ubuntu One account.
Yeah. So I've never set one up either, Ricky.
Basically, it's free to set up. You don't have to pay anything. And once you do, you can pretty much sign up for the extended security updates for free. and basically you can have it. You can have these updates on up to 3 machines, Ben.
Oh, nice.
So basically, if all your machines have 16.04 or 14.04, which those are the two ESMs going on right now, you just put in that code that they give you. Boom, it's supported.
Interesting.
Yeah, but last year I actually had the opportunity to play around with 14.04, and I will say, even though I like 16.04, 14.04, from what I saw, had a few more features involving the Unity desktop environment that were not present in 16.04. I mean, things looked a little different. Things worked a little different than 16.04, and that's just what I liked. Is if you go back in time to a previous version, you're going to see things that aren't present in other versions. Now, as for now, I will say, when it comes to my favorite desktop environment of all time, and I will say it is hands down XFCE.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, if push comes to shove, I go back to XFCE anytime.
Yes. XFCE is one of the greats.
Mm-hmm. And plus, that's about to be upgraded at some point next year to its next version. Which we don't even, if I'm correct, I believe it might be upgraded to GTK4.
Yes, it probably will be very soon.
Which GTK4 is speeding up its development a lot. I'm hoping that we can see more of it very soon.
Yeah, hopefully that will happen, because it's beyond time.
I mean, we've had GTK free for a very long time now. I think it's time for GTK free
to retire. Yeah.
But what about GTK Oxygen? Some things, it's a theming for GTK look.
Yes. That's another concern, you're right.
So a lot of unwanted changes in Linux could cause a lot of trouble for everyone to complain up the wazoo about.
What are you talking about, William?
Removal of certain themings like GTK3 Oxygen, or certain GTK2, GTK3 themes, or anything GTK related can break a ton of stuff that relies on
it.
Yeah, because if I'm correct, I believe not only is GTK free, I believe, a package, but it's also a framework, and I believe it also some of GTK free's components are inside the kernel as well.
Not quite. It's usually in the video part.
Yes.
Okay, Mitchell, take care.
Obviously, you would break your system if everything that's related to it is removed.
Yeah, I can see that.
You would have a system that doesn't work because everything it requires on it has been ripped from top to bottom out of it.
The one thing that astounds me, though, guys, is to think how far Linux has come since basically Ubuntu came into the picture almost 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, Ubuntu reinvented Linux.
Yes, it did.
I mean, because of Ubuntu, it brought Linux to the masses.
That it did. I mean, there's no question about that one. I mean, if we didn't have Ubuntu and all those things, I mean, we would have practically not as many Linux users as we've got right now.
No, I mean Ubuntu plays a big role into it. So does Debian. So does Slackware. Even Slackware is one of the longest surviving Linux distributions besides Debian.
Oh yes, I mean, if it wasn't for those two distros, we wouldn't have what we have now.
But I will say, when it comes to the future of Linux, I would like to see new desktop environments and ideas come out of the woodwork. I mean, we already have a new environment coming up through the woodwork right now, which is called the Cubefish desktop environment.
Yeah.
Which what it is it is a modified KDE Plasma. But the thing is, though, the Cubefish environment is not so bloated.
No.
And it looks exactly like Mac.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, you got your bar at the bottom and your menu system at the top, just like Mac.
That's something else, Ricky.
I mean, and it looks really, really good. But the thing is, though, I am. Hold
I
on.
keep hearing a cat meow.
Oh, my cat's nail is caught in the door frame. I got him out.
No wonder I kept hearing a meow.
Yeah, one of my cats, he was a little curious, and wanted to pretty much look out the window, and he got his nail caught, but I got him out.
Okay.
Your cats are a little over curious.
Yeah, they are.
But no, I will say, though, when it comes to the Cutefish desktop environment, it has a lot of potential. It's pretty much seeing a lot of reviews when it comes to being in Arch Linux. Only time will tell if it will be up there along with the other environments. One other distro that I will say, though, that has been causing a bit of waves as of late is Manjaro. Manjaro recently changed its default browser starting in the newest version. Its new default browser is Vivaldi.
Interesting. And I have some interesting news, guys. I am making my own Gentoo respin right now with calamares for the first time.
That
is
good luck with that.
Yeah,
I really hope it works, dude.
Yeah, because there was a third-party developer on GitHub who's pushed out the tool, and I just downloaded it and pretty much put it with OpenRC and LightDM and XFCE. I do not include Steam or Wine by default because those things are hard to include.
But it sounds like you got progress.
Yes, and as much as I would love to include a multi-lib system, it's just a pain in the neck to do right now. So until I do further testing, it's pure 64-bit. But actually, it is multi-lib, but I don't have the setting for that enabled. So all you have to do is go into the make.conf on the system once you get it installed, and switch that out, and you can then install your Steam and your Wine, things like that. And I've already included them unmasked. You just have to install them. Boom, done.
Cool. I'll be looking forward to seeing it once it's fully completed. I'll test it in a virtual machine.
Sure. I'm just waiting for the system to compile all the software, and it does come with Lutris by default, and Plymouth, Arc theme, Papyrus icons, some Gentoo wallpapers, and Gentoo bash completion. So, yeah. Now it does come with Kuru for a GUI package management, I believe, and it comes with Firefox binaries, Chromium as a bin, as well as a couple of other things, and and it also, hold on, it does allow you to log in hopefully by default into LightDM because I added the service to do that.
Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, it's just building the packages right now, and we'll see where this goes.
But what are you going to do when there's a massive upgrade sent to the Gentoo repository? What do you do when you attempt to do when you do a system upgrade via merge? Is it going to cause a problem, or what are you going to do when everything gets updated constantly every 12 hours?
That is a good question, William.
Well, here when it comes to the update part, Ben, I do have a suggestion for you.
What?
You could, in Fury, slow down the updates to Gentoo by incorporating the LTS kernel by default.
Well, I'm using whatever gen kernel gives me by default. So when it comes time, I will push out a new update, but I'm not going to do that very often because I have 600, no joke, 667 packages to compile right now. So, and that's going to likely be the same every new ISO. So I don't know how often I'll push out an ISO because this distro is designed to be rolling release based on Gentoo. So I don't know how often I'll be able to maintain this. I might do it like every 2 to 3 months on like Arch. So yeah, this is just going to be a once off the cuff kind of a thing.
What's going on? What's going on with Storm OS, by the way?
We have changed things up a little bit. I am now I'm still including Calamares. We just pushed out a new version of that. But for the October release, which is going to be uploaded in the next 1 to 2 days, we are including the PackBang installer, which used to be on the Arch Midfinger edition. So that is being tested and soon released. And both start up on boot of the system. And here's one caveat though. If you do run the PackBang installer, not Calamares, you will have both install icons on the desktop after you install it. So all you have to do is right click and delete those. Very easy. And if you do run the PackBang installer also, you will have to sync your mirrors before doing anything on that. So it is highly recommended to use Calamares if possible, but you can also use PackBang if you so choose. So it's entirely choice-based this time.
Okay. And you're still sticking with XFCE mainly as your main release, right?
Yes. Now we might, and quote-unquote, might update the KDE release. I haven't decided that yet. But if I do, I will recruit my team and we can look into that. Now, the trouble with KDE is that it's a lot of stuff to update, and I have not decided if we're going to keep that yet or not.
Well, if you choose not to keep it, my suggestion to you is just like some distros, do a XFC edition, which is your flagship, and then have the other edition be Mate.
Yeah, I might change out KDE for Mate. I haven't fully decided yet.
Yeah, Mate is so much easier to deal with, and there's far fewer packages for it.
Right. And what I might do is build my other environments inside of a VM and just not and just leave it at that, because honestly, you guys, I mean, as much as I love KDE 5 and 4, it's just a pain to package those every time.
Well, the thing is, that's because they're really big distros and they require so many resources.
Yes. I mean, the desktops, KDE is a pain in the neck to just theme every now and again.
That's why when it comes to lightweight, fast, and reliability, I say XFCE and Mate are your two best options.
Right. And honestly, Ricky, I think what we'll do is after my test on Saturday, because I don't want to throw my test functions, my test reliability out of the gate. On Saturday, we might set up a Storm OS Mate version.
Like I said, dude, Mate is really good. I mean, Arch is well known for keeping it nice and updated. It's really good.
Yes. I would highly agree because, I mean, Mate is lightweight. It works really well. And I think it would be better served on Storm OS than KDE would be.
I think so too. Because the thing is, Storm OS, the one thing I've noticed about my experiences with Storm OS here and there is you and your team, you guys have one goal and one goal in mind, and that's super fast and reliability and stability. Those are your three main goals that you should focus on.
Yes. These are friendliness, reliability, and compatibility. And you're right. And I think, the one thing that StormOS has always been about is those principles, is familiarity, reliability, and ease of use. And
I mean, when it comes to XFCE, I mean, the familiarity is right there. I mean, it looks like Windows. And when it comes to the upcoming Mate edition, it's going to look like GNOME 2. So basically, with the Mate edition, you'll be pulling in some of those old GNOME 2 users.
Right. And that's my plan, is for it to be familiar, and again, easy, and again, reliable. And I think KDE is just not those things.
No, KDE is for advanced users, and it's also meant mainly for mainly an advanced Windows user who's very familiar with Linux to transition over to a highly advanced environment.
Right. And it was my buddy TJ that suggested to be agreed on a KDE version. And I don't mind having that, but that's not really the point of this distro. Its point is for newbies who don't really know what the heck they're doing and they want to try Arch. And, so hence, honestly, I would, if I was going to give this to like my mom or my dad or anybody who doesn't know what they're doing with Linux, I would give them XFCE or Mate. That's just the point.
Yeah. Well, anywho, people, I'm giving a 5-minute warning right now, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. I appreciate everybody. For coming. If you want to see more live streams just like this, then smash that like button and support my channel. Thank you. Also, I urge everybody who supports Linux and FOSS as a whole, please support your software communities, because without them, we wouldn't even be here right now.
Yes.
So pretty much to wrap it up, any final words about Gentoo?
I would rather still continue to read about Gentoo, but not actually use it for daily use. That's all I have to say, and I'm headed out, and I will see y'all next time.
All right. Later, William. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
What about you?
On for the end.
All right. What about you, Benny boy?
Yes.
You have any final words about Gentoo?
Yes. I will say I'm very happy with it, and hopefully this distro will turn out pretty good. So.
Oh, only time will tell. Time will tell. My final words are very simple. Gentoo, just like Arch, is a unique type of distro that's meant to highly advanced Linux users, and it's also meant as a stepping stone for people to get into other distributions. That's why pretty much you go through the guide, set up Gentoo the way you want it, because as soon as you learn the fundamentals of Linux that way, you can pretty much then go on your the next step of your Linux journey to try out other distributions to see which one is the right fit for you. Like if you want to be either a Debian user, an Ubuntu user, an Arch user, Fedora user, or maybe a Rocky Linux user since CentOS is dead now.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I would say if you're gonna go through that kind of a thing, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a shot in the dark on that one.
It is. It really is. And the thing is, that's the one thing about Gentoo. I mean, yes, it's a shot in the dark, but at the same time, it's a learning experience. You're learning how Linux works under the hood, and that can actually help you later on when you're in your favorite distribution, like I said, either an Arch, Ubuntu, or one of the CentOS replacements. This way you can troubleshoot problems. And the thing is, the best way to troubleshoot any Linux problem, and I still recommend this wholeheartedly, is the Arch Wiki. The Arch Wiki has a lot of the problems that Arch users have. They can be easily solved through the wiki, and the thing is, the wiki's problem solving techniques is not just limited to Arch by itself. You can use these same techniques on many other distributions. That's how versatile the wiki is.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the long run, I mean, Arch's wiki compared to Gentoo, that's almost shooting fish in a freaking barrel.
I mean, the thing is, yes, the wiki of Gentoo is a little bare bones. That's true. But the thing is, at some point it will be where it needs to be. Just like how at some point Void Linux, another upcoming distribution that hasn't been here for very long, will be where it needs to be because it's rising up for the ranks. But I will say though, the Arch Wiki is the best documentation for Linux in general because it just has everything in it. You can get your information about different environments, different kernels, different programs, everything. It has it all.
Exactly. I mean, in the end of the day, if you really like we said, if you really want to learn Gentoo, go through it the way that I would say you want to do it is if you the way I would go through it is don't be afraid to ask questions, but honestly, if you need help, just read the wiki and go through and maybe even make yourself an install guide if you have to.
Yeah. If you have Discord or Element, or basically if you're into just basically using IRC, there's many text chat Linux communities out there. You just gotta find the one that fits you, and that's pretty much all I can say about that. The history of Gentoo in a nutshell is very simple. It used to be in another form of another Linux project, but it evolved into what it is today. And I will say one thing: for those of you who are new to Linux, try out an Arch distribution, an Ubuntu distribution, or a Debian distribution to get your feet wet a little first. And then if you want to get into Gentoo, I recommend either Red Core or Calculate to get your feet wet a little further.
I would highly agree. I mean, if you're going to try Gentoo, I would not recommend it as a first-time system.
No. I wouldn't even recommend a first time system either. And yeah, and also there's also Chrome OS and Chromium OS as well. I forgot about those two.
Yes. I mean, if you're gonna go with anything, I would say go with Ubuntu or anything beyond Gentoo.
Hmm.
It's just it's a lot of commitment. Like I said, a lot of upkeep, and it's not right for somebody just getting started on this platform.
Exactly, because the thing about Linux, the whole philosophy of Linux is finding cross-platform software
Mm,
that you're currently using on your current operating system, and
mm,
finding the same software in
mm,
Linux. Once you found all your software is compatible with Linux, that's the time you make the jump. That's the time you decide, okay, which way do I want to go? And
mm,
usually 9 times out of 10, I usually tell people if you're
mm.
getting started in Linux, go with either Ubuntu or Debian.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, Ubuntu or Debian to start with, and then maybe try out Arch or Gentoo, because you really need to have that understanding of the terminal, understanding of that command line, and then you can really take it to the next level.
Hmm. But yeah, that's pretty much my take on this. I mean,
Huh.
if you're just starting out, go to either a Debian or Ubuntu distro, learn Linux that way, get your feet wet, and also I would also recommend you to check out the many Linux YouTubers in our Linux family. I mean,
Hmm.
you got Tossed, you got Switch to Linux, you got English Bob, you got DistroTube, you got a whole bunch of good people.
Yes, and they're more than willing to show you things through their videos, their live streams, their everything. I mean, there's so many people out here very willing
Hmm.
to help you, show you things, make your Linux life a heck of a lot easier.
Hmm. But anyway, people, I think it's time to cut this open chat down for the night.
Hmm.
I will get to work as of tomorrow of getting the next open chat set up. I don't know what the main topic for that one will be, but I
Hmm.
will let you guys know as soon as I can. But until then, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88 saying, see you later.
All
Thank you
right
for
then.
watching, people. Have a good night.
All right.